Governor Whitmer announces everyone in Michigan will soon be able to get a haircut. Find out when you can make an appointment at salons and barbershops. Happening now across Metro Detroit, hundreds protest against police brutality and inequality. We are live at Belle Isle and Detroit Police Headquarters. Not many saw this coming. May's unemployment report saw the biggest jump in U.S. history. Why economists are saying we're not out of the woods just yet. First at 4 starts now.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Karen Drew. One of the largest protests we've seen all week in Detroit is happening right now on Belle Isle, and that is where we find our Larry Spruill. Larry, some Lions players are even out there, I understand.
Yeah, Karen, we just spoke with several Lions players, also political figures. City council members are out here as well. Now, this is one of the largest crowds that we have seen since the protest started. But organizers here tell me they are not calling it a protest or calling it a peaceful march. As you can see behind me right now, they're saying they are marching in silence in honor of George Floyd, the man who was killed in Minneapolis right now. And they just want to remember his honor. So that's why they are marching in silence. No chants, nothing of that nature going on right now, but there are several signs that Black Lives Matter. We shall not be moved. I'm black and I'm proud. Several signs that show us that message that they are asking for change. Now, we spoke to several city council members. We spoke to organizers here, and they said that change is needed. As you can see, they're holding up their fists in the air as well. Once again, Black Lives Matter. No justice, no peace, but you will hear none of those chants in this peaceful march. That's because they are honoring George Floyd. They said they just want to remember him and what he went through. We will continue to have updates coming up tonight at 5 and 6. We're live on Belle Isle tonight. Larry Spruill, Local 4 News.
All right, from Belle Isle to outside Detroit Police Headquarters, demonstrators are now gathering for the 8th night in a row. Jason Goldthorpe is on the ground for us this evening talking to protesters, and he will have a live report starting at 5. Well, there were cheers in our newsroom today when Governor Whitmer announced barbershops and salons would reopen soon. Let's send it over to Kimberly Gill. She's in the newsroom for all those details. Hey, Kim.
Hi, Karen. Good afternoon. In 10 days, barbershops and salons will be back open in Metro Detroit. But if you're willing to drive up north, you can make an appointment as soon as next week. This coming Wednesday, salons and barbershops will be allowed to reopen in parts of northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula. Massage spas, movie theaters, and gyms are also allowed to reopen. The governor announced outdoor gatherings will be allowed up to 50 people or 25% capacity, and outdoor gatherings such as weddings up to 250 people. Sporting or concert venues can have up to 500 people, but only with social distancing measures in place. And Governor Whitmer also said those same businesses will be able to reopen across the state June 15th as long as we continue to trend in the right direction.
We've got to adopt the strict safety measures to protect employees and clients and their families and to keep the spread from happening. That means marking waiting rooms to enable 6 feet of social distancing as people wait, adding special hours for highly vulnerable patients, including the elderly and those with chronic conditions.
And the governor also apologized to salon owners who felt slighted by a comment she made last week when she told people to look up how to cut hair online. Our Grant Herms is talking to business owners who've struggled during the pandemic. Look for his reports coming up starting on Local 4 News at 5. Until Karen, we'll send it back to you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Kim. In a stunning turn of events, employment rose by 2.5 million in May. Jobless rate also fell to 13.3%. The May gain is by far the biggest one-month jobs gain in U.S. history since 1939. Analysts believe the increase may have come from those furloughed workers who now have returned to their jobs as the economy begins to open up. President Trump declared today's news as a victory.
Number one, the numbers are great, and this leads us on to a long period of growth. We'll go back to having the greatest economy anywhere in the world, nothing close. And I think we're going to have a very good upcoming few months.
April was the worst unemployment rate since monthly record keeping began back in 1948. Economists warn the nation still faces a very high unemployment rate at some 20 million Americans still without a steady paycheck. All right, Friday afternoon, time to check in with Ben and see the forecast for what we have in store for the weekend. Or I should say, Andrew, I apologize. Hey, Andrew.
Oh, no worries, Karen. Good to see you as always. Good to see everyone. We are looking at a scorcher this afternoon with temperatures well into the 80s. And along with that, as we've been talking about, even since last weekend, those thunderstorms are now sprouting up. We're looking at them scattered about in areas just south of I-94. You can see that here across parts of Lenawee County, moving into also Monroe County, just crossing the Monroe County line just outside of Dundee. Places right along those areas will receive showers and even a thunderstorm or two between now and about 4:20. Places like Ida and Maybe and also Dundee within the next 18 minutes or so. Other than that, we are still looking at very warm conditions. Here's a look at downtown Detroit. Temperatures are still in the 80s. Rain-cooled air in the 70s in those spots where we have moisture. 85 over at the airport. Visibility is looking good so far. And 80s in your neighborhood too. 89 over at City Airport. Now, after these showers and thunderstorms pass, we've got some changes for the weekend, but we've got some sunshine as well. We'll talk about your weekend forecast, your full 7-day forecast in minutes.
All right, thanks, Andrew. And as we end the week with more protests and more unrest, we take a look at a group of religious leaders working to be a part of change in our community and this country. Paula Tutman reports the congregants at the Cathedral of St. Paul in Detroit and many others are virtually fighting for a change in race relations.
Hands up!
For 10 days and counting during this, and this, and this, and this. Understanding that when justice is denied for some, ultimately it is denied for all. A roundtable of visionaries from the Episcopal Diocese of Michigan is reinvigorated. A bishop, 2 pastors, a nun, and 3 lay people who are having difficult conversations about a 401-year history of inequity for people of color. They say they're looking for ways they can prop open a short window of opportunity to make lasting change.
There's a man, African American, he's a bicycle. He's recording me and threatening me and my dog. My sense is, and I am not alone, is that the issue of racism is a white problem. It is a problem about how white people interact with our sisters and brothers who happen to be brown or black-skinned or Native American and Asian.
Leading this specific charge, the Right Reverend Dr. Bonnie Perry, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Michigan, installed a mere 2 months ago. She is getting to know Michigan by disrupting it and making as many people as possible uncomfortable.
I could challenge our white sisters and brothers to begin to deal with our white privilege, to begin to see the realities of white supremacy that is embedded in many of our structures.
Since the protests began, she leads regular virtual meetings where talk turns to listening and listening turns to action.
We've seen it, we've heard it, we've experienced it, okay? And now it's really, really time to help with the work of fixing it again.
The country is calling us to another level of engagement. We're coming to realize that we can't continue.
And while many of them have been in the trenches before, they force themselves into the fire again to steel themselves to fight for change.
I feel like being white in this country is, for me, has been like an ongoing process of sort of trying to wake up from this dream of everything's okay that lulls you, you know.
I think that in order for us to move ahead, it is going to take my white brothers and sisters to drive the conversation, because when Black people do it, the viewpoint is, oh, there they go again talking about that things aren't equal, things aren't fair.
It's not like Jesus made everybody very comfortable. Jesus did not. But at the same time, while we recognize that in order to move things forward, in order to, get justice rolling like waters, we're going to make people uncomfortable. Watching someone literally have their breath crushed out of them is something that I can't unsee that. And because I cannot unsee that, I cannot do anything but continuously work on this.
You know, the folks on this roundtable acknowledge these are tough conversations, but they are doing the work. They're doing the heavy lifting, and they know it's going to get a lot more uncomfortable before there is real and lasting change. Now, you may think they are preaching to the so-called choir, but Karen, join us at 6. The deep dive continues, and you'll see that some of them in their self-introspection realize that sometimes they needed to join the choir to whom they preach. And this informs them in how they bring people in who are still not ready to listen.
Tough conversations, like you said, but conversations that need to be had. We look forward to your report at 6, Paula. The Lions are reopening Ford Field and the Allen Park practice facility. That happens next week, but players and coaches won't be there when the doors open. Still to come why the team is keeping their off-season program virtual. But first, hashtag he's 75. You saw this video in Paula's piece just moments ago, and it is trending all over the country. The video showing Buffalo police officers shoving an elderly protester going viral. Up next, how the mayor and police department are responding this afternoon.